Guys, how are you doing today? So God is just so strategic. So I'm getting ready to go to the gym, and he showed me my tripod. I'm like, God, I don't need my tripod. I'm gonna make the videos in the car today. He's like, bring your tripod. I'm like, no, I don't need my tripod. When God tells you to do something, but in your heart you're like, he's telling you to do it, but you're kind of like, nah, I don't need it. Like, you second guess it, and he tells you again. Yeah, so I came downstairs. I'm doing my regular routine, and I'm here washing the dishes because I'm like, I gotta get the house together before I leave and stuff like that. And he started talking to me about something very, very specific, right? Because a lot of you guys, it's like we're never going to understand the minds of evildoers. And even though God is not evil, God is of love, God understands the mind of every individual, even the evil people. That's how God is also able to know what your enemies are planning before it even happens, because God understands their plans, their concepts, and everything behind everything, right? So I'm washing the dishes, and God literally said that they will not be at peace until they fix things. They will never be at peace until they fix things. And it's for anyone that has done you wrong. They will never be at peace until they fix things. I'm going to explain to you specifically how God showed it to me, okay? So a lot of you guys, have you ever been in a situation where, if you're a good person, and you've done something that you're not proud of and you feel bad about it, it will kind of eat you up until you talk to the person about it. There's two types of people. There's those that it will eat up, and they'll be too prideful to admit it. They'll be too prideful, to apologize. And they'll just, they'll let it eat them up, and they'll take it to the grave with them. And then there's some who, they're very conscious of their emotions, and they're very sensitive in spirit. And if it eats them up, they're like, nah, I'm feeling the conviction right now. I got to do something about it. I got to go talk to this person. Even if this person doesn't want me in their life, and even if we're both ready to sever ties and we want no type of involvements, I still got to make peace with the person. I still got to talk to the person about it, because at the end of the day, this is my life and I want to move forward. I don't want to walk with this baggage on me. I want to be peaceful. I want to be happy, right? There's those types of people, those two types of people, right? The way how God was showing it to me is there's people who are not at peace with how they treated you. And this is why they're infatuated with you. Okay, they're infatuated with you. And the thing about it is because they're so prideful. And like, obviously there's some that's going to apologize and that are sorry and they're going to come forward. But there's some that are so prideful, and even though they know that they are wrong in their heart, they know that they were wrong about you, or what they did to you was wrong. They're going to try to convince themselves that they're not wrong about you. But because they do that, in a way, God is in a way punishing them. As in, like, God is saying, you know what? Because you are being too prideful to apologize, you are being too prideful to change, right? I'm hardening your heart towards this person. As in, now you're going to be infatuated with them. Now I'm going to make sure you consistently stalk them. You consistently watch them. You want to know their every move. You notice people say, no one watches you harder than your haters. The reason why no one watches you harder than your haters is because your haters, they know deep down that whatever they feel towards you, you don't deserve it. They know deep down that whatever they did to you, you don't deserve it. Whatever they said about you, you didn't deserve it. So they continue being infatuated with you because of this idea, because they know that what they did to you, you don't deserve it. So they have to consistently monitor you to see if God is blessing you, if your life is progressing, if you're doing better than them. And the reason why they do this is because it's an adrenaline. It's a high that they get from watching you, because they do kind of feel a sense of peace in a way. Even though they don't like you, they do kind of feel a sense of peace in a way, seeing that you're moving forward, seeing that you're moving ahead, even though they don't like it. They feel a little bit of sense of peace and comfort from doing that, even if they don't like it. Do you get what I'm saying? And here's the thing. God is going to consistently, and I know this sounds bad, but God is going to consistently have this conviction in a way, kind of torturing them until they actually own up to what they did or what they said or how they feel, or repent, and until they do something about it. Do you get what I'm saying? If they don't do anything about it, they're not going to have the full peace that they desire. The type of peace that they're going to be consistently feeding into and falling into is that peace of being infatuated with you. And it's not real peace. It's more of like an obsession, an addiction, but they get a little bit of that high, a little bit of that comfort, a little bit of that peace by consistently monitoring you, because it kind of band-aids the issue, right? But until they actually take responsibility and the initiative to come forward and to actually do the right thing, to repent or to communicate or to apologize, they're going to always have this obsession with you. They're going to always have this infatuation with you, okay? And here's the thing. God does have a role to play in this. This conviction does kind of torture them in a way for them to keep watching you and keep looking at you. And God does have a role to play with that, because if you remember the story of, Moses, right? Pharaoh didn't like Moses. Pharaoh did whatever he can to tear Moses down. Pharaoh knew deep down that he was wrong about what he was doing to the Israelites. He knew deep down he was wrong for what he did to Moses. He knew they didn't deserve that. That's why, when all those warnings happened, he ended up letting them go, because he knew deep down he was wrong. However, because their heart was hardened, he couldn't release Moses and the Israelites completely. Once he released them, that obsession, that wanting to be in control, that pride and ego, that him being infatuated with the Israelites and Moses got to him. And he said, no, I got to go find them. I got to take them out. Because why? God hardened his heart, because he did not wholeheartedly repent. He did not wholeheartedly, fix the situation. He just released them. But the reason why he released them was because God was bringing a wrath upon him. It wasn't out of a good place, out of his heart. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, you know what? I feel bad for torturing the Israelites. I feel bad for what I did to Moses. I'm going to release them from the kindness of my heart because I feel bad. No, it was more out of because he did not want to go through God's wrath again. There was no genuine place in his heart as to why he released them, which is why he was still infatuated with Moses and the Israelites, which is why God hardened his heart to begin with, to go back after them. It's the same concept with people that don't like you, that did you wrong, your haters, anyone that's around you that has done you wrong. They're going to always be infatuated with you until they wholeheartedly want to change, until they wholeheartedly admit to themselves, you know what, and this has to come from a genuine place in their heart, until they say, you know what, I do have to fix things, I do have to make things right. Until then, they're not going to have any peace. They're going to consistently be infatuated with you, which is the reason why God says, I will prepare a table in the presence of your enemies. Why would God say, I'm going to prepare a table in the presence of your enemies, if God has to call your enemies to God's not going to call your enemies and say, hey, come watch so-and-so at the table. I'm gonna prepare their table. Come watch. God's not gonna call your enemies to you, because your enemies are already infatuated with you. They're already there. They're already going through conviction, which is why they keep watching you, which is why they're obsessed with you, because they're already facing that conviction. Right? That's why God says, I'll prepare a table in the presence of your enemies, because God knows your enemies are already there. They're already keeping an eye on you. Why? Because they have no peace. They have no peace. And the thing about it is, don't you notice that when people genuinely apologize for something, or when they genuinely come forward and resolve an issue, don't you notice that's when both parties will separate? If it's not meant to be, they'll separate, and then both will go on with their lives, and it will be peaceful for them. The obsession is now gone. The infatuation is now gone, because why? God has released that conviction from the person, so now they don't have to keep up with you in your life, because that has been released from them. But you see, when that doesn't happen, where they don't take that responsibility and they're at no peace, they're going to consistently be monitoring you. Okay. So this is confirmation for someone. God definitely said that there's no peace for those who have done you wrong, who do you wrong, who think ill about you. There's no peace for them. And this is why they consistently keep coming back. God does have a role to play in them consistently coming back, consistently monitoring you. I know it sounds bad, but God does have a role to play in that, because at the end of the day, that conviction that they're facing, it is kind of torturing them. And that's why they're in your presence, watching God prepare a table in front of you. Okay. I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.